So I am definitely not a corporate shill. I'm definitely pro-consumer and really advocate for consumer rights and just whoever's purchasing the goods. I do have to say though, Nintendo did win a few points in my book. I have been very harsh on them in the past, and I think that they should get praise when they do something right. Now, I'm not saying I'm the end-all be-all. I'm no authority by any means, but I just felt like giving this little video update and letting you guys know what's been down since my last video, which was about the updates to my channel called We're So Back. If you haven't seen that yet, I would highly check it out. I worked very hard on it, and it lets you know what's coming to this channel. But in that video, I mentioned the Switch 2 and how the tariffs in the United States will affect me getting a Switch 2, therefore affecting any type of Switch 2 type content. That has now kind of been changed a little bit, but I also want to rectify something I said in the video. For some reason, I mentioned housing when I was talking about the tariffs. Tariffs have nothing to do with housing. I think I was just kind of mumbling all of the economic problems that we're having in the States together. So I just wanted to rectify that real quick. But the bigger thing is the Nintendo Switch 2 will be getting a tariff for the States. However, it's only going to be $50 more for the console, which is actually pretty great. I was very surprised to hear this. They moved production from the Switch over to Taiwan a few years ago in preparation for a tariff hit, because that was being threatened before the orange guy was even in power. So they did that, which was great, but they also were making the Switches almost at a loss. It's kind of crazy to think about, but it cost them only like $50 less to make a Switch versus what the consumer is paying for, which is unheard of. For those of you that don't really know much about products or profit margins or anything, normally you would sell something, for example, let's just use the Switch for example. The Switch 1 probably cost around $200 to $250 for Nintendo to make, but they sold it for $300, so that way there's that $100 like profit margin there. Switch 2, they're eating the loss, which I think is actually pretty nice. Now, I'm not saying Nintendo is perfect and now we can all sing their praises. There's still some things that I'm not too happy about that we'll get into in a second. But like I said, I do want to give them their flowers where it's due. And the fact that we're only fronting a $50 gap in between, technically $100 if you count the tariffs, but that's not really their fault. That's the states being stupid. So that's a pretty solid deal. However, there's still going to be a change with the tariffs, and that's going to be the accessories are going to cost more, probably $10 to $15 more. So the Joy-Cons themselves are going to be like $90, which is absolutely unheard of, but I would rather have the accessories be priced up than the actual console itself being like super priced up. And then on top of that, the games are still staying at their price range, and this is still the biggest like thing I can't let Nintendo get away with, in the sense that because they're making the games so high in price, and they say it's because of their quality and they value each game individually by like how much they're worth, it's going to have a ripple effect throughout the whole gaming industry, where every company is going to say that and think that and start charging outrageous amounts of money for games that don't deserve the price tag. Like, I can see Madden and 2K and FIFA all being in like $100 to even maybe more range as a baseline, not even like the pre-order deal or any bundles. Like, that'll just be the base game because they see Nintendo doing it and Nintendo getting sales from it. They're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna do that too, and just use the same verbiage of it's the value, it's the blah 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 blah, and it's the same content. I'm not saying that Nintendo's just gonna pump out the same content, but I've kind of been beating a dead horse here when I say that I don't think Nintendo games have that value proposition. Yes, the IP is popular. Yes, the characters are good and the games are fun, but most of the games cap out at 20 hours. There's not much replayability to them. You get your fill and then that you move on. It's more of a FOMO and like a status symbol to play a Nintendo game from time to time. Don't get me wrong, I put my time into Smash. That's like the exception, but that's just a personal preference as well. I know there's a lot of Nintendo fanboys out there that would disagree with me. I just think that, Mario Kart being worth $80 is kind of ridiculous. I don't think it ever deserves to be at that price, especially in this market where the dollar is at its like all-time lowest value. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments what you think. If you think I'm correct, if you think I'm wrong, if you think the Switch is still overpriced, if you think that the games are perfectly priced. I want to know your opinions and see if you can move my opinion or change my mind. I doubt it, but it's at least worth a shot to get other people's perspectives and have a civil conversation. I'm OCDsaster, and I hope you have a smash-tastic rest of your day. See ya!